you sent me the screener and I watched it, and now I realize how hard you fucking worked on that. And I know what a perfectionist you are. And I know that you love wrestling so much. You've wrestled with major wrestlers from the WWE. You've been following it your whole life. I can't imagine that it's that easy for you to let things go when you're wrestling on set in scenes and you're doing something and you're like, does that look real? Let me see that. Like, were you so involved in a lot of those sequences, those fight sequences?
I was incredibly involved. I wanted to bring on people. I mean, we had Luke Hawx, who's an independent professional wrestler. He says ostensibly like on Arrow, we had an archery consultant. He's like the wrestling consultant. But all the backstage stuff, the way that wrestlers would talk to each other, the fact that they communicate with the referees, and that the referee is communicating with someone backstage, et cetera, like all of that stuff, that's shit that nobody knows because no one from the wrestling world wants to talk about it because it's kayfabe, right? Which is the title of the first episode, which is the parts of the wrestling world that you just don't talk to the public about, right? It's like a magician doesn't give away his tricks. And I've been so fortunate to be backstage at a giant WWE pay-per-view, at Monday Night Raw, at an independent show for Ring of Honor, at a what looked like a fucking hockey rink in San Antonio or something of the like, and at the biggest independent professional wrestling show ever in Chicago in 2018. And just knowing what it's actually like behind the scenes, if I ever felt like anything was wrong or anything didn't look right, I would speak up. And the cool part about Heels is that Mike O'Malley, Pete Siegel, who's an EP but directed 6 of the 8 episodes, or Jessica Lowry, who directed 3 and 4, if anyone was ever not sure about anything, I would be consulted. And it was...
You like that?
I love it. I felt like, for reasons that I think are obvious because of the place that I was in my career when I accepted this job, I am much more of a partner on Heels than I ever was on Arrow.
How so? Just because of more of the consulting and things like that?
Think about when you were hired as Lex on Smallville, right? Do you remember approximately what you made in your first year doing the show?
Money?
Yeah, money. We don't need to talk about this specific figure, but I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
Would you have done it for free?
For free?
Yeah, like if you could go back and you could look at what Smallville was and what it's done, what it's done and what it did for you. Like when I got Arrow, I know what I got paid in that first year, but I also know that if Warner Brothers was like, we want $800 paid to us per episode, and then we'll start paying you next year, I would be like, okay, right? So you go on to that show as someone that they hired. I came on to Heels as a partner. It's not a criticism. Yeah. It's not a criticism of the prior job.
No, it's just a different.
But it's just a different thing.
Right.
They offered it to me. This show got greenlit because I said yes. So you just walk in with a different relationship.